Ask again. So, Wally, is it okay if we record this for members to view later?
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Can
Okay,
you
well,
guys
thank you
hear me
so
all right?
much. Pardon?
Can you hear me all right?
Yep, I can hear
Okay.
you. So, thanks so much for joining us today for this candidate forum. Um, just a little bit of information at the beginning. So, this is a joint forum between the El Cerrito Democratic Club and the DPCCC, which is the central committee at the county level for the Democratic Party. And we'll be holding separate endorsement votes, but we're having this forum together. So, candidates don't have to run around to a forum every weekend, every day, every weekend.
Yeah.
Um,
Appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah. And I do want to mention also at the top for anybody who would like or needs captions, Cheryl Sudduth just let us know that a way to do that is to click on the pen icon at the top of your window um, for the My Notes, and you can turn on note taking, which will be very similar functionally to captions there. So I just want to let people know that if they want that accommodation. For DPCCC endorsements, candidates need to have returned the questionnaire to get on the ballot. I don't know if I think you probably are one of the people who did that. So, Wally, so I think that's uh, checked off for you.
Okay. I'm not sure if I received the DPCCC one, but you had mentioned to be on the lookout for it. I will double check my email and get it in if I have not.
Okay. Um, and then for the El Cerrito Democratic Club, who I'm representing here today, our endorsement vote will start on August 25th, and those ballots will be open for 3 days. And so we still, even though we're doing the endorsement form today, we still have a ways until the actual vote by the club.
Great.
Okay, and so we have a series of questions. We'll go back and forth between ECDC and DPCCC, but at the very beginning, I do want to give you an opportunity to give a 2-minute opening statement just to introduce yourself to us. So go ahead.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. My name's Wally Nowinski. I'm a father of a 3-month-old, an El Cerrito homeowner, and a lifelong Democrat. I grew up in Michigan before moving to California, and I've worked in Democratic politics post college for many years. That culminated in 2012 when I was doing the digital campaigns for Michigan Senator Debbie Stabenow. After that, I left politics for a while and joined a startup where I helped bootstrap a company to about 140 employees and $150 million in revenue. No debt, no investment. We had to really pay attention to the bottom line to make payroll. In 2024, I was kind of concerned about the declining marginal impact of a marginal dollar in trying to defeat Donald Trump. So I put some of my advertising knowledge to work and started a super PAC with a friend that won praise from kind of national Democratic strategists for its creativity and unconventional approach. You can read about it in Slate or listen about it on NPR. Um, Over the last 18 months, I got involved in El Cerrito politics, helping lead the No on C campaign. We built the largest grassroots campaign in El Cerrito kind of living memory to defeat the ballot proposal. And in doing so, I learned that there's kind of a lot of dissatisfaction with the status quo and in El Cerrito. And that's why, Measure C went down 70-30. It didn't fail because people
Oop.
Did he freeze?
Yeah, I think he's frozen.
Frozen.
anti-tax mood, both county
There we
proposals,
go.
because people are mad about City Hall. And so I'm going to turn off my video. My internet died, so I'm tethered.
Okay.
I apologize for that, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
just
mean, so
just
we
to
lost
finish
you
this.
for a moment, but if you can feel free to back up about a minute and pick up from where you were.
Okay. So over the last 18 months, I got involved in El Cerrito politics to help on leading the No on Measure C campaign. We built the largest grassroots campaign in city history. And in doing so, I learned a lot about the dissatisfaction with the status quo amongst El Cerrito residents. Measure C didn't fail because people were in an anti-tax mood. Both county-wide tax proposals passed in El Cerrito, even though they failed countywide. It failed because people are unhappy with the status quo in City Hall. So I'm running to help try to alleviate that. If elected, I'll make sure to listen to residents before making plans, not only after, prioritize our financial situation, and rigorously prioritize basics like service delivery that people are anxious and upset about.
Great. Thank you, Wally. And so the first question coming from the ECDC is what single change would you prioritize if elected to the El Cerrito City Council? Why is it your priority, and how would you go about implementing that?
So this is actually kind of like a bit of a technical one, but I think the fundamental issue that El Cerrito residents have is they feel like the city is doing things that are maybe the agenda of the city manager or maybe the agenda of city council and don't actually reflect their priorities as residents. Um, so the single thing I would want to start with is literally for the first time in 15 years doing like an honest, rigorous, no thumb on the scale survey of residents of their capital improvement priorities. For 10 years, we were told that a library was the top priority based on some polling with some real methodological problems. That doesn't seem to be the case, but I also don't know if it's a police station. I also don't know if it's a senior center. And honestly, my personal priorities should not guide what the city is, what's at the top of the city's list. So I would like to see us do rigorous outreach and figure out, because there's a lot of competing factions who have different ideas about what the city's kind of top priority should be. And we honestly don't know what it is. And the first way to establish trust is to rebuild trust, is to try to tackle that problem. So we know here's the data, here's what people say. Let's get on the right road together and not be at each other's throats again for another decade.
Great. Thanks, Wally. Now over to Michael Nye.
Hi, Wally. What is the operating budget of the city of El Cerrito?
Mid 50 million, somewhere around there, 50 to 60, like 55, if I recall correctly.
Thank you.
All right, that was a quick one. Back to El Cerrito Democratic Club. What's your vision for El Cerrito in 5 years, and what skills make you qualified to achieve that vision?
Yeah, I would like to see two things. I would like to see us sort of come together more as a city and have kind of alignment around our priorities, not be at each other's throats. And second, I would like to see, whether it is new housing along San Pablo or new businesses along San Pablo. I think that there is a lot of kind of frustration with the state across the board of San Pablo Avenue, the commercial offerings and the state and the arrested residential developments. We've planned and zoned for all of this, new housing, and what we have right now is really, quite a lot of vacant storefronts and quite a lot of empty lots, where those development plans have been arrested for over half a decade at this point. So the thing that I'm like personally most interested in, aside from listening to people and prioritizing what the community wants, is focusing some of my attention on figuring out how do we kind of unblock development along San Pablo to get something like a new restaurant that you would want to take friends in, to get one or two of these apartment buildings that are on the books, off the ground and breaking ground. And I think what we need to do to get that going is to very specifically task the community development role. I would rename it small business development role. And I would say your job number one is figure out why, when someone wants to open a restaurant, are they going to Albany or Berkeley and not El Cerrito? How do we make our community more attractive so we don't lose every single new restaurant, new business, whatever, to Solano Avenue? You know, we need to figure out how to be the place to do business, the place to build new housing, the place to open a new restaurant that our neighbors like and want to go to. And I think that could really improve quality of life, not just for for new families and longtime residents alike.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I think now we're going to Irene for the next question.
Yes, and another short one, Wally, maybe under a minute if you can. Do you support or oppose project labor agreements? Why or why not?
I probably support project labor agreements. I don't have a enormously strong opinion on it, but there's a lot of I think it's fair that when we're building new buildings, we are making sure that the people working on those projects are reasonably paid and getting a fair wage. That being said, one thing I am constantly a little bit concerned about, it gets back to those arrested development ideas. So I would want to make sure that we're anything we're doing, any criteria we're putting on a new project, that we are not letting the ideal get in the way of it actually happening. If that makes sense.
Great, thank you. And back to the ECDC questions. So what city services, in your view, are working well today, and which ones are not?
That's a good question. My road is in very good shape. I know that that is not everyone's unanimous opinion around the city, and that's why we need to be like very quantitative in how we're evaluating that. I have had very positive interactions with the El Cerrito police. When I had my wife's e-bike was stolen, they were on top of it. We got it back. I was very, very pleasantly surprised. I did not expect reporting a stolen bike to actually result in the bike being returned to us. It was stolen by someone who lived in Kensington, actually. So watch out for those guys. But I would say I'm a relatively new resident. So 2023 is when I bought my home. And the thing that surprised and delighted me the most was, that bicycle interaction that really exceeded expectations, I would say. One other thing I would flag, swim center. I know we just repaired the pool. My wife loves it. She uses it multiple times a week. She was inadvertently subsidizing it because she didn't know you could get an annual pass. So she was just like paying like $30 a week to use the swim center. She's got the annual pass now, but it's great. Yeah, it's a great amenity.
And it looks like we've lost you for a moment there. Can you hear us?
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay. And then the
Can you hear
second
me? I'm
part.
sorry, my home internet died, so I'm tethered to my cell phone.
Oh
I
man,
apologize.
that's okay. And then the second part of that question was, are there any that you feel are not working well?
Um, I don't think I can this gets back to my economic development thing. I mean, it's not a direct provision city service, but it is a city function that is impacts everyone's life. I think we have a lot of room for improvement there. And I've also heard a lot from people, not affecting me as directly, but people are also frustrated, obviously, justifiably so, about senior programming and so forth. So it's not just about my own personal experiences. Like I shared my anecdotes of what I see, but it's more about what, what do residents think? In the same way, it's not what building do I think we should build. It's what does the community think?
Great, thank you. And back to DPCCC.
Discrimination is persistent in today's society. Racism, sexism, homophobia, amongst others. What types of discrimination do you see as prevalent in the city, and what would you propose to counteract them?
I mean, I think looking nationwide, I think El Cerrito is like a great community. We don't see a ton of we don't see some of the same issues that you do elsewhere in the country. That being said, there's like always room for improvement. I think that the city's, as a city councilor, my goal would be to on a personal level, always be 100% respectful and, happy to meet with anyone, including people who disagree with me, be honest with them. At the city level, I would want to be ensuring that we are setting, similar standards of treating everyone with respect, whether that's during citizen feedback. Even if people disagree with us or are mad at us, we need to treat them with respect. In hiring, we need to be treating people with respect, reaching out to a broad applicant pool. So there's different levels. There's personal, there's community feedback, and then there's the sort of like city oversight and administration. And I think it's important for us to be setting a high standard, and holding ourselves personally to that standard, and then also ensuring that holding the city to that standard, make sure that city processes are happening that way too. I think the biggest area where there is a sense of maybe not discrimination but disrespect right now is, I feel like the public participation give and take at city council meetings. There's a lot of dissatisfaction with that. And we can set a better tone for everyone. There's opportunity to set a better tone for everyone there.
All right, thanks, Wally. The next question from ECDC is, do you support the use of Flock or any other automatic license plate readers? Why or why not?
I do not support the use of. I was happy that the city ended the Flock contract. I think that Flock as a vendor is quite toxic, and is way too closely kind of in bed with some of the more concerning elements of the Trump administration. I don't. If the police chief or the city manager said it was very important for us to have an automated license plate reader, I'm not like 100% opposed to that. I am opposed to it being Flock. Like, it can't be that. But I would want to see, I would be skeptical of it. And I would want to see a rigorous process to take seriously the kind of civil liberty concerns, and take seriously the data handling concerns, before I would be, comfortable signing off on a non-Flock replacement. I think there's real valid concerns there, and we would need to take them seriously.
Great, thank you. And I think to Irene now.
Thank you, Neil. Do you believe, Wally, that anyone can represent anyone, and how does that affect your duty as an elected official?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I think it is. I would see my duty as an elected official, to, like I said a minute ago, to, have an open door. I'm happy to talk with anyone. Since the Measure C campaign, there are some people in the community who are not particularly happy with me. I have been going out and getting coffee or drinks with all of them one by one. And I actually really have enjoyed those conversations. I personally find, it's interesting and enjoyable to find common humanity, or find common ground, even with someone who has been mad at you on the internet, or wrote a 4,000 word essay about how you're a monster and published it on the internet. That's fine. I've been meeting with everyone, and with literally everyone, who we have found common ground on some things. And that's kind of, El Cerrito is a small town. I am super interested to, chat with anyone, talk with anyone. I tell people we may or may not always agree, but I will be straight with you about what's going on, kind of big picture at the city, and B, what my kind of candid thinking is on, the proposal. And like I said before, with a lot of stuff, it's really not my personal preferences. It's more of, what does the community want?
Thank
Great,
you.
thank you. And that answer is a perfect lead into the next question, which I think will probably also be our last question. Many El Cerritans feel that the Measure C Library Initiative was a divisive experience for the city. Do you agree? And do you think anything can or should be done to create greater unity within the city?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question because like the mood of it was definitely like people feel very strongly about it. Electorally, it was like not actually divisive. Like 70-30 is like basically as close as you get to unanimous, in electoral politics. But that being said, like it's important to take the mood part of that seriously. And what I would like to see, and I think there's quite a lot of persistent frustration about this, is I think that people are going to continue feeling upset about Measure C until there is some sort of acknowledgement from this, like from the city about what happened. The city has just sort of been continuing to, you know, like they certified the election, obviously, but there wasn't really any discussion of like why did this fail. The city has the library commission, but like I would hope that the library commission takes seriously the question of why did this fail so spectacularly, as opposed and not just operate the same way they would have had it passed. I think like the main frustration in El Cerrito is people are mad about Measure C. They're mad about Richmond Street. They're mad about flock cameras. And there is very, very, very little acknowledgement from the city that those concerns are being heard, even when those concerns are dramatically demonstrated at the ballot box. And we're not going to address the lack of trust in city council, the lack of trust with the city administration until we start acknowledging people's concerns and saying and taking action to reasonably address them.
All right, thank you. And so, I think that brings us to the end of the question and answer part. And so, we'd like to give you a couple minutes here at the end to make a closing statement or make any, additional points that you feel like we didn't cover
Sure.
previously.
Again, I really apologize for my internet connection. I hope that wasn't too disruptive. I always hate that, and it went out this morning, so I really apologize about that. The I guess what my pitch is. I'm someone who like I don't want to be state representative. I have a job that I love at a kind of clean energy company in San Francisco. Um, I'm running for El Cerrito City Council because like I bought a home here. I'm raising my 3-month-old daughter here. I think it's a great place to live, and I think there's a lot of room for improvement. And I am temperamentally someone who will always ask hard questions, be skeptical of what I've presented, even get in disagreements with my own team when I think something is going wrong, and even tell people on maybe the other side of the aisle, what I would do in their shoes. I might not always agree with, people will not always agree with me, but I will always try to be candid about what I'm thinking, why, and my reasoning for it. And I will always try to be kind of respectful of other opinions, even people, and I'm happy to work with anyone on anything. Just because I disagreed with someone about Measure C does not mean we can't work together to ensure that, Alane Greenway bicycle path crossings aren't safer. It doesn't mean that we can't work together center or something. Like I'm happy to work with anyone, and I'm running with my friend Kimberly to earn your endorsement.
Great, thank you so much. I think and we had a little bit of a drop there at the end, but I think it caught up, and so I don't think you need to go back and restate the last minute or so. I do want to thank you so much for taking this time on a Sunday morning to meet with us, and I look forward to seeing you out there in El Cerrito.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.